is up here in Canada. Well, hello, Canada. It's your Uncle Clark, and on today's episode, we have a man who helps people prepare for their own deaths. That's right. Now, Ken Pike is just one of those beauty human beings that can instantly put people at ease no matter the situation. I don't know if it's his Paul Newman eyes, his clean-cut, boyish good looks, or his Swedish blonde hair, but whatever it is, it's working for him because for 5 years in a row now, he has won Agent of the Year at Canada's largest funeral planning company, which is no small achievement. Now, Ken was kind enough to sit down and chat with me about how he became so successful, how he talks to people about preparing for their own funeral, why he still cheers for the Montreal Canadiens, his brief career as a competitive diver, becoming Canada's youngest looking grandpa, and a whole lot more, so don't go anywhere. Up next is the 7th episode of Stay in Beauty with Uncle Clark, and I could not be more excited.
Stay in Beauty with Uncle Clark and Ken Pike.
This episode of Staying Beauty with Uncle Clark is brought to you by Canada Purple Shield. Now, Canada Purple Shield has been helping families all over Canada prepare for funeral plans for over 60 years. Advanced funeral planning gives you the peace of mind that comes with knowing your final wishes are taken care of while lessening the emotional and financial burden on your family. When you plan ahead, your loved ones are spared difficult decisions on the worst day of their lives. So plan today for tomorrow's peace of mind with Canada Purple Shield. And now, here's your host, Clark W.
Hey, Ken, I've just got a phone call from Clark here. 1 second. Hey, Clark.
Yeah, hey, Jordan, it's Clark. I know I'm supposed to be there, but I had to pick up a new motorbike today from Alberta.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a 2016 Yamaha FZ07. Boy, does it go? Can you hear it?
Yeah, no, I can definitely hear it.
I should say hi to Ken. Hey, Ken.
Howdy, Clark.
Yeah, I'm sorry I can't be there, but woo-hoo-hoo! Well, I got this new bike, so I'll have to say hi when I get home.
Yeah, no problem. We'll talk to you when you get back.
Okay, well, you boys do what you do, and Jordan, you get to take over?
Yeah, no, I'm happy to do that.
Okay, all right, well.
Enjoy the ride.
Later, boys! Woo-hoo-hoo! Holy moly!
Okay, Ken, it's just me and you. Surprise, surprise. So, let's...
man, I was looking forward to Clark, man.
Yeah, he's, I feel like
elusive little fella. Eh?
He's very elusive. He's almost afraid to do this sometimes, I think. So, okay, Ken Pike, we go back quite a ways, but who are you, where do you live, and what do you do?
All right, well, I live in Lloydminster on the Alberta side, which is really important to note, right? We hold true to that fact. When you're living in Lloydminster,
there's both sides.
It's the only border city in Canada. So when we like to proudly say that we're the border city, which has all kinds of complications sometimes, but we wanted to be in the province with the mountains so we can see them from our backyard, right?
So Sask and Alberta. I had no idea it was split in half.
Yeah, it's pretty much right in half.
Oh no, you totally cut out. Can you hear me? What happened?
Hang on a second.
Oh, there you're back.
Sorry, man. I think I hit safe mode in this.
Oh, your model high cheekbones always hit those buttons.
I'm back.
Okay,
yeah.
Back.
Where did you lose me?
So something about it's split right down the middle, Lloydminster, and you're on the side with the mountains.
That's right. That's what we told people. The actual the city is divided by these two big posts that show you where Saskatchewan stops and Alberta begins. So we're on the far west end of Lloydminster on your way to Edmonton, which it's a totally different climate than Saskatchewan.
So are there what are the tensions like between the Alberta and Sask side there? Is it civil or is there a war constantly?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man. At nighttime, there's like 2 bunkers that separate the two provinces.
Yep.
And so you can't, sometimes there's some midnight bartering that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
If they run out of smokes on the Saskatchewan side, then they can barter for alcohol on the Alberta side.
Wow, that makes sense. That's exactly as I imagined it. Okay, so Ken Pike, Lloydminster, and what do you do?
Well, right now I'm a funeral pre-planner. So one of my childhood goals when I was 9 years old was to help people pre-arrange their funerals.
As that's very common. Very
not
common.
really. No, here I was I've been prearranging and helping families to make sure we call it line up the ducks in their life early on, so they don't leave a big mess on their family's shoulder. When death comes knocking at their door, they're prepared and ready, which is pretty significant. And I've been doing that for 5 years and love it.
Holy, okay. So, and what's the name of the company you work for?
So our company, our branch, or I guess our office out of Saskatoon, called Rest Assured Planning. But most people know us by Canada Purple Shield. Purple Shield. So we're across Canada from coast to coast. Over 90% of prearranged funeral plans are done through our company.
Wow. Okay. So how does one get to be a funeral pre-planner? How did that journey happen for you?
Well, part of my journey, as many of your previous guests have been connected through Briarcrest. The guy who got me started in Purple Shield was a Briarcrest grad.
Was it Michael Penner?
No, he's one of them, but he wasn't the one who got me into Purple Shield. Michael Penner started years ago.
Oh, okay.
The one who got me in is somebody named Brad Funston, and he lives in Moose Jaw. And I was one of my many adventures was owning a carpet cleaning company, and I used to clean his carpets and as a side job while working for Briarcrest, to up my annual earnings.
Exactly. Yes.
And and I was cleaning his carpets, and every time I would go by, I would talk a little bit of what he did, and he'd been funeral pre-planning for years, and every time we talked about it, he said, "You know what, Ken, you'd be really good at this, man. Like, based on your background and your ability to connect with people quickly, and build trust, and you should consider something like this." So it was it kind of fell on my lap, I guess, with a lot of good encouragement from my friend Brad, who we've been working alongside each other now for 5 years. So it was pretty neat. It's not something that you envision that you're going to be doing when you get older, but everything leading up from my life till now just made me be really kind of fit naturally into the role and be very successful. And by that, I mean just helping families. It's really in my wiring, because I know I'm doing something that's helpful, and it's very rewarding that way. So
wow. Well, speaking of successful, I think you've won at least one award with all this somehow. What was that?
The company, because it's there's a lot of personal drive in the company to try to help people be motivated, because you're dealing with people, right? And it's my week every week is controlled by other people's schedules, and you need to be motivated when someone books appointments and cancels. So they try to encourage agents that we have across Canada to think customer service and quality. And so I've been the recipient of several awards since I started. But really, the biggest reward is what I get with the clients. But they have Agent of the Year. I've was able to be the recipient of that since I started 5 years ago. So that's my 5th year now as agent across Canada.
What?
Agent of the Year across Canada.
You've won 5 years as Agent of the Year?
Yes, yeah. So
I did not know that. I thought it was once.
No, it's pretty cool, man. It's really rewarding. That's why I say a lot of people said to me when I first started, it's going to take you probably a little while to get going and get used to this. And but I came in with a level of confidence that I know has been built up in my career, different careers that I've had throughout my time, and I would say mostly a lot of it due to the work that I did for 12 years at Briarcrest, which helped me have the right attitude of servanthood to work with families, and really.
That's funny, because you're like one of the least sociable, persons that I know. You're so awkward around everyone. You don't put anyone at ease. No, it's you have like one of the most calming, reassuring, not only faces but also just auras and presences. So
I appreciate that.
If I was planning my end of season part of life, I would definitely go to you. So what was it about Briarcrest that prepared you to be successful at this?
Well, I think a lot of things. I mean, a big part of it was the foundation they teach you, right? Like learning, like having a servant attitude. Really seeing people and listening to people and hearing their story. If I wasn't able to make that connection, I sit down with clients about 1 or 2 hours in front of them. And then, by the end of it, I've prearranged their funeral service, right? Wow. Which is something, it takes a real art, right? A real ability. And so with Briarcrest, I mean, I was working with students in recruitment for over 8-9 years. And then I was raising funds for Briarcrest. So meaning I was, going to see alumni all across Western Canada, and sitting down in their living rooms, sometimes hearing some of their concerns, most of the time hearing about their positive experiences and stories, and then connecting with them, right? And that's, I think, the one thing that I find that makes me successful is that I can really connect with their story and, hear what people are saying. And so, you think about it, Briarcrest was, I would say, the synthesis of all of my previous jobs together, and then being able to work it out, especially in my 30s, to understand what it is I do well, and then how I can take that for the next stage of my life. We didn't think we were going to be lifers at Briarcrest. 10 years was long enough, or 11 years. And I really drew from it what I needed to have success coming out of it. And that's why when I started Purple Shield, it didn't take me years or months even to be successful. I was successful from day one. Wow. Because I had the confidence, walking into it to serve.
You are a confident guy. You need, if you got it, you got to flaunt it. And I don't know what you got, but you flaunt it well. Okay. So I'm just fascinated by your job. I mean, it's such to broach the subject of, hey, you're going to probably die soon. Let's talk through what that's going to look like for you and your family. And like, I can't imagine there's like a one size fits all approach to each conversation, but what kind of do you deal with any heavy stuff, or is it mostly just practical planning this and planning that, or what does that look like?
Oh, for sure. Well, it's interesting. I always tell, because I work with about 10 different funeral homes, about a 3-hour radius around Lloydminster. So most of the time I'm visiting with families while they're living, right? I'm visiting with people. I get to actually share their stories in real time now. And so I'm preparing them for the moment when they will no longer have a voice, right? And I consider myself lucky because I get to build that relationship on the front end, whereas the funeral home does it on the receiving end, right? So they're the ones who are going to be dealing with maybe the trauma, the intense grief at the moment. So I would say most of my, it's called pre-planning, because most of what I do is planning ahead of time. But, I do have many stories where I'm visiting sometimes with people who have, just been diagnosed with terminal illness. So they're sitting there with their spouse and they're planning for something that's going to happen in 3 to 6 months, right? Those are powerful moments, right? There's again, my background with Briarcrest, as a worship leader, where, when you sit in a room full of people and you lead them into like music and song and, worship, in my case, there's this sense that you have where you almost are able to absorb the energy of the room, not to sound too kind of new age, but being able to really sense what's going on, adapt to the environment you're in, empathize with what's going on, and then with confidence, lead them through something that they need. That's what they want, is someone who knows what they're doing, has confidence, and takes them through, right? Because people come into those subjects usually with fear, trepidation, not a lot of knowledge. A lot of times they hear, quotation mark, hear that, funerals are so expensive. Funeral homes are just getting, every last penny out of the family. And when you get to sit down with both sides, because I work with both, you see funeral homes are there really, they just want to serve the family. In 99% of the case, I'm not saying there isn't sometimes you hear about them on the news. Sometimes people who take advantage of scenarios, but it's, there's something about learning where they're at. And then, I will say helping them through a process, not forcing them through, but helping them through a process that's necessary. I always tell people 100% of my visits are going to use the product that I've just introduced them to, right? That's, my line cause I do seminars, right? And I always say, does anyone know here what the death rate is in Saskatchewan or Alberta on both sides of the border? And you see people grabbing pens and they're working out numbers and calculating averages.
That's amazing.
Someone said, I've heard it's as high as 85%. And
no way.
It's fun. It's always, it's our like industry kind of icebreaker, right? You get to start the conversation. You help them realize, listen, because most people function with the part of their brain that deals with the day-to-day, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go to work. I'm going to pay the bills. I'm going to do this. Death and dying shifts your brain to the other side that deals with legacy, emotion. What am I leaving my family? What have I done? And so you're trying to shift people's brains from one side to the other to say, listen, this is something we're all going to deal with. We plan out weddings. We plan out birthdays. This is your final party, right? And you need to plan it out. It's going to happen either way. You're either going to leave it in a good way or leave it in a bad way.
That's wow. So why am I thinking of the movie My Girl? You're not Dan Aykroyd for My Girl. You don't make them look pretty, but you make the financial situation when all that happens as pretty as you can.
Yeah, we say it's the emotional and the financial benefit. So, the two biggest things when I sit down with family, they say, listen, we already have life insurance and that we have a will. And they think that's good. We don't need to do anything else. But what we tell people is, listen, everyone that I deal with has life insurance. It's not the answer to funeral pre-planning because life insurance doesn't tell you anything about what you need to do. It just has money and it throws money at the problem. Yeah. And the money is supposed to go a long way. It's supposed to cover a whole bunch of other things. So what we say with funeral planning is we make emotional decisions, we write them down, and then we put the finance to go alongside of it because that's what helps people not overspend.
Right.
They feel confident about the decisions they make. They're not overspending. They don't have regrets, right? It really gives the clearest message you can because you're not able to influence them when you have a family of four sitting at the funeral home trying to decide on, whether we take the $4,000 casket or the, $1,000 urn and, are we going to have, this, that, and the other thing. There's about 100 decisions that people make at a funeral home. And if you have nothing prepared, it's, every one of those decisions is an opportunity to disagree and be upset, right?
Yeah. So with COVID then, has your job been affected by that in any way? Like as far as are people able to still have funerals the way we did before or? That's
a great question. So, I mean, every industry, and I've listened to a lot of your other previous guests and the impact that the music industry has had as a result of COVID-19. And it's, but one of the things I'm usually a glass half full optimist kind of person, right? So whenever there's a challenge, I'm not saying that I don't have moments, right? But whenever there's a challenge, I try to figure out ways around it or what can you learn in an odd time like this, right? So, on average, previous to COVID-19, I was driving about 50,000 kilometers a year in my vehicle going to appointments. Okay.
Yeah.
Post COVID-19, I will still be driving because if I can sit in front of a client, I think that's always the best way to visit with them because you get, the body language, you can read the room and all that, right?
Yeah.
When you're now we've transitioned at least for 3 months when we in March, April, May, 100% of my follow-up was over the phone or on Zoom if they were comfortable using Zoom. It is different. But what I learned in that time was that how vital. You can almost use your ears as spidey senses. Like when you cut out all the other forms of connection that you have, right? The sight, the eyes, the body language, and you're focusing solely on what you hear, you become super sensitized to things maybe that you weren't able to pick up previous to that. It's like someone becoming blind during their lifetime. All of a sudden, their ears become more adept, and they're able to start seeing with their ears.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's what I think COVID-19 taught me. Really, that my job can be done remotely. It's not ideal, but it doesn't stop what I do, because people don't stop dying. In fact, COVID-19 is a perfect reminder that people do, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
Not that we want to take advantage of the situation, but, I did a lot of planning with people who said, it was the motivator for them, this is the perfect season for us to get our ducks in a row.
Oh, no kidding.
And so, so I think that was one of the things. And, because I lead a team of people, I have a bunch of people under me as well that I have to train and motivate. It was really important for me to lead by example and figure out, if I can't figure out how to do this, then how am I going to lead the rest of my team? So I became super disciplined at the beginning of COVID-19. Wake up in the morning, go for a run on my treadmill.
Me too. I totally did that. We should start a club. Absolutely. Working out. I just got off the treadmill, so cool. Okay, keep going.
So honestly, being someone who's a motivator, someone who is like meeting with people and trying to motivate them into decisions, you have to be on top of your game, right? And that's, I think, one of the challenges, and the biggest challenges and the biggest blessing of being in a role that I am, is that it's completely reliant on the effort that I put in, right? I can't wake up one week and say, listen, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to try, booking appointments so I can sit down with people. It's my effort is very, very important. And the Briarcrest piece for me that taught me well is, as long as I put in the effort, then I don't have to worry about the result. Right. Because the result is going to take care of itself. If I'm doing it with the right attitude, with the right motivation, and putting in the effort and the gifts talents that I have, then the opposite, it'll come back to me, right? Man,
well, it's clearly, you're clearly doing something right, because you're a district manager for Purple Shield now, right? That's
right. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's like kind of like Dwight Schrute-ish of you, almost.
That's right. Yeah. I'm just, at the end of the day, I'm just selling paper. That's all it comes down to, right?
Michael Scott is a district manager, right? Or no, he's a branch manager. Okay. You're better than Dwight. You're a Michael Scott. That's pretty sweet.
That's right. I don't have a potato farm. Michael Scott. Yeah, I don't think you can put me in any of those categories. I'm probably a mix of all of those guys. Right.
You know what? I think you would have been a great character on The Office. You're just. I don't know. I don't know if I've ever seen you not brighten up a room or smile. You'd just be that. Well, I don't know. I've never worked with you. I should ask AJ or something. Maybe you're just miserable at The Office.
At work, I'm a total gong
just
show.
A bear.
I sleep at my desk.
Yeah. How long have you been a district manager for?
Almost not quite since the time that I started there. I think it was about a year afterwards. There is when I.
You didn't even climb the ladder. There was no ladder before, and then you just said, "Here's the ladder, and I'm at the top." Good for you, man.
Well, you're too much. Yeah, no, it was really good, man. It's just like I said, when all the cogs fit in the right place, all the pieces come together. Yeah, it was exactly one of those moments, right? It's funny. The guy, not Brad Funston, he knew that I'd be good at this, but the guy that I replaced in this area was a guy who did this for 35 years. Ron Klein. He was like the legend, right? He was like Ron Burgundy of Purple Shield. Everyone knew him. And people always said, because Ron is the one that took me on the road, in this area where I was going to kind of take over for him. And I think it was we had the next training day, and he said that in front of everyone. I was kind of embarrassed, but he's like, you know what? This Ken is going to do well at this. It fits his personality. Like he can walk in and have coffee with someone and they'll always have him back. Yeah. Right.
Absolutely. I believe that. Have you ever considered one thing you're missing in this job and that would make you better is a trusting dad mustache. Have you ever considered that?
It's funny. The funeral industry is a funny thing, because there's something about the clean cut, clean shaven look that is most part, like if you go to especially you're in more of an urban center, if you go to Kelowna and you walk into a funeral home there, so you can put this on your to-do list for next week. Take a look at the funeral directors. You're probably going to see clean shaven, suit and tie.
You know what? I went to the Purple Shield website today. Yeah. And I looked and I'm like, Yeah, I can see how like you're so clean cut and shaven and this beautiful blonde Swedish Superboy, and I'm like I can see why like if people were to come in and see my patchy beard and my tattoos, they'd be like, yeah, I think we're gonna go with the blonde Swedish guy. He looks more trusting for some reason. So
Swedish. You're telling me something about my family that I never knew as my Swedish descent.
Well,
so
I just assume anyone
that.
who's naturally blonde hails from Sweden. So I think that sounds
Swedish or German, one of the two.
Yeah,
right?
one of the two. So what is the? I mean, you touched on it before, but the biggest sense of fulfillment or satisfaction in your work would be putting people at ease with a hard stage in life, or what would it be? I mean, not at ease.
Yeah, for sure. Because I know, like 100%, it's helpful. It doesn't matter. Like, we always say, because people think, well, you just only meet with old people. Actually, I meet with anyone. I've had clients in their 20s. My oldest client was 103. Wow. And everywhere in between, right? Yeah. And so it's just knowing, because there's so much mystery, right? With death and dying. There's something about the fulfillment or the peace of mind that comes with knowing you have a plan, right? Like during COVID-19, families who saved for a rainy day, families who had a contingency, families who were able to do that, and obviously not everyone had that benefit or blessing, right? But when something happens like COVID-19, which is totally unsuspecting, you don't have that immediate panic, right? Because okay, you know what, we're going to be okay. Yeah. Like, for the next 3 months, we have our contingency. We don't have to worry. Things we'll see how things play out, right? Yeah. Well, with funeral planning, it's the same thing. You walk into a scenario, if someone has never been in a funeral home before, you just lost your loved one, and I always have to paint this picture for people, right? People sometimes say to me, well, what, my kids will deal with it. Well, but just imagine what the kids are going to deal with. Like, they walk into the funeral home tomorrow. Let's pretend this happened to you tomorrow. And then they have to right away make 50 to 100 decisions, and those decisions could cost them upwards of $6, $8, $10, $12,000. It really depends because every person's wishes are different. Wouldn't it be better for them to not walk in and have to make the plan and choose your own adventure? But walk in and know there's a file. Everything's already planned out. And not only that, but it's already paid for. It's like night and day difference for families, right?
And I didn't even know this was a thing or an option. So finding out you did it, and then I looked into it, and then now hearing more of the details as to what exactly you do, it's it really does feel like a tremendously better path to go down than being blindsided by it. So
well, for sure, and everyone's circumstances, right? Like, I mean, if you have never been on the receiving end of losing a close family member, then you don't know what's coming. When it comes to dealing with wills, estates, and funeral planning, and that's what I spend all of my public service announcements, like the seminars I do, are always telling people: listen, you may think your will is done, but and there's nothing else that you have to worry about. Well, let me kind of go through the kind of scenarios that you have to think about, right? When it comes to estates and probate and, dealing with legal problems and, banks and all the other stuff when people pass away. It's not an easy thing, right?
I mean, we live with my in-laws. And so we had to, a couple of years ago, go through like all the lawyer stuff, like who's going to be the executor of their estate. And if both of them pass, or if one of them passes, and then the bank stuff, and then it was just like, wow, there's a lot, and that would none of that was even funeral planning. So we should, they're getting up there. I should go chat with them about funeral planning. Do you work with people in Kelowna?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm mostly out of Alberta and Saskatchewan, but I'll give my office details afterwards, and we'll make sure
we'll figure it out.
A lot of this can be done remotely too, but by the way, make sure you say hi to your in-laws for me, because I worked with your mother-in-law and father-in-law.
Oh yes, years they're very fond of you. They I don't know if they know that I'm doing this podcast with you, but they are very fond of you, as is pretty much anyone who meets you, especially.
Lois was like the queen of Briarcrest when I was there. She was like, you talk about someone that lights up the room, right? Yeah. She was always lighting up the room, and I'm sure that's passed on to her daughter. And Marv, same thing. You get Marv, with his Diet Coke walking through the hallways of Briarcrest, and always excited and full of energy to teach people. I just I remember that. That was probably my first week at Briarcrest. So.
Yeah, I think it takes a special couple of in-laws to live with them, with your younger family. And,
for sure.
We would not be living with them if they weren't awesome. So, Marvin Lois, if you're listening, Ken and I both love you. Okay.
There you go.
All right, Ken. I know you, but I don't know you well. So I wrote down a bunch of questions to try and get to know you better.
All right.
So you live in Lloydminster. Mm-hmm. You were in Briarcrest before. Where did you spend your growing up years?
Yeah, well, like your previous guest, Mr. Martel, I was born and raised in Montreal in Quebec.
What?
Yeah, I was born in Montreal. Montreal Jewish General Hospital. I'm not Jewish, but somehow I was born at the Jewish General Hospital.
Oh, I had no idea. How long were you in Montreal for?
Well, until we moved to Saskatchewan in 2003. So I lived the better part of all my childhood, and then worked in Montreal. My wife lived in a suburb of Montreal called the South Shore, mm-hmm. In a town called Châteauguay. And so we, until we decided to, do that crazy thing that people do and sell our house and move to Briarcrest. Mm-hmm. And the big reason why we moved to Briarcrest and went to school there was because of Mark Martel and Down Here.
Really?
Yeah, that was the big motivating, because of the quality of their band and the training from Briarcrest. That's why I went to Montreal to Briarcrest.
I will have to pass that along to him. I'll just say, hey, Ken left you a little jewel in the podcast. You have to listen to the whole thing to find it.
That's right. Yeah. Actually, I worked with his brother, Dave, and I worked together too in Montreal.
Dave is such a beauty.
If you have not been on a Dave Martel ride with his live show, oh my gosh, you haven't lived.
Oh man, yeah, they're that's amazing. So you moved to Briarcrest in 2003? No.
2003 is, we sold our house. It was just like, we I always wanted to finish because we were young. We got married when we were young, had kids when we were young. So I never went to I was supposed to go into become a classical piano performer, and that kind of sidetracked. And then we got married and we had kids. So Briarcrest Music is the reason why we moved out there, and I started working on the worship program at Briarcrest in 2003. Supposed to be a 2-year program for me in the classic Briarcrest way. 2 years, went to 12.
Yep. Standard. Yep.
I'm hoping for my honorary doctorate or
no
something.
Kidding.
Maybe just my honorary bachelor's degree, because a 2-year certificate doesn't do me justice.
Oh man. Okay, so you grew up in Montreal, spent most of your life there. What kind of things were you into as a kid? Like for me, I was huge into Batman and Ninja Turtles and the Oilers and riding my BMX. Like what were some highlights in your childhood years growing up of things you were into?
Well, I was a pretty busy kid. I mean, I'm practicing piano probably an hour and a half a day.
Wow.
So I was quite involved in the church. Sports. I love basketball. I was a competitive diver. I dove in the Quebec Games. 1 meter, 3 meter diving. I was on TV one time with my, maybe I shouldn't do this because maybe this will come out later on, but I had my, my diving suit on, the tidy blues there. The one time I was on TV in competition with those suckers on, but
wow.
Yeah, classic. Yeah, no, I did a little bit of that. I was involved in drama and musicals as a kid. So a mix of everything. I was an average student. Definitely. I wasn't a straight A kind of kid. I was more worried about entertaining people, I think. And
you didn't show any signs early on in elementary school that you would one day be a 5-year in a row running agent of the year at Purple Shield. Your teachers didn't foresee that?
Yeah, that's what I think. When I remember when I was a kid, I wrote down I was gonna be a musician like Elton John. Is what I wrote down, and now I'm a funeral pre-planner. Well, there you go.
Wow. Okay. Well, Elton John. So was he one of your big influences growing up musically? I'm very eclectic in my musical influence.
early on, classical, I started when I was 6 years old. So I took piano lessons from 6 to 17 and, would compete in Montreal music competitions and festivals. And then I got into like Jerry Lee Lewis. So the big, offset was, Great Balls of Fire. And then I kind of went into blues and Harry Connick Jr. and U2. And then worship, obviously. That was the big thing for me, going to a Michael W. Smith concert. I used to go to Christian festivals all the time, and I would see, you like Down Here, right? When it was Starfield, Down Here. They were huge for me, really influencing, I guess, I think how I lined up everything that music did for me, which wasn't going to be like, I wouldn't say I was a performer. I was an entertainer, someone that liked to move people with what I did musically. And I think the biggest part where I saw that come together was in worship, right? Because it wasn't about me. It was about, leading people into something. Spiritually, right? And that was pretty significant for me. So,
wow. Okay. Where and how did you and your wife meet?
So Jen and I had mutual friends actually that we used to hang out with, and we actually met through them. The first time we met, I think we were both, she thought I was, kind of one of those stage stealers. I had to have the last joke, and I don't know where she got that from. That's all lies.
Yeah,
no, I'm just
absolutely.
kidding. And of course, and because she didn't just melt like butter in my hands right away, I was like, oh well, okay, she doesn't like my humor. I don't have time for this.
Yep.
And then the next time we met, it was the total opposite. Like I couldn't get her to stop laughing. Like I cracking her up the whole time, and it was like night and day. It was my conquest to win this girl over that wasn't giving me the time of day. And so we, here we are now. Almost 25 years later, we've been married with two 23 and 24-year-old daughter with grandkids. I've got grandkids.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about, so you have two kids in their 20s. Both daughters?
Yeah, yes. So I've my one daughter's name is Jordan, Jorden.
Oh, that's a weird name for a girl. I think that's a very masculine name.
It was something about the 90s there. We like to choose names that were different. Yeah, Jordan, and then my other daughter Taya is she's 23. And both of them have two sons. And my daughter Jordan, my oldest, has another one on the way in October. So we're going to be 3 times grandparents in October. By October.
So is being, my kids, my grandparents never said this, but my parents of my kids now say that being a grandparent is like the best thing ever. Is that true?
Yeah, for sure. The unique part of my job too is that I sit down with people who are like, a generation ahead of me or 2 generations. So I'm always gleaning off of their, wisdom, right? But I find that the grandparenting stage, it's like where you take the gas off and you just enjoy each moment that you're spending with your grandchildren. Whereas when you're, raising them yourself, you're just focused on, getting them to the next event or getting them through the next growth stage or, going through the dating phase and all this stuff. You're just kind of, trying to figure out how to stay on top of it. Right. Whereas grandparenting, when you want to read them the whole book. You don't want to read 1 page and skip 4. You know what I mean?
Yep. No, I don't. I don't know at all. Yeah.
and then you want to circle back and then read it again, right?
Wow.
Whereas when you're parenting, it's like, okay, all right, let's read the story. Let's get you to bed.
Got things to do. We're on schedule here. Yeah.
Yeah. Everything slows down, and it's a wonderful gift because you just see the whole process differently, and you can be the coach. You're not the one that's refereeing anymore. You're the coach. You're the one that's coming alongside when the kids need it. You're not there to rescue them. You're there to say, okay, well, maybe this is the right time for us to step in and help out, or when they ask, right? So,
oh man, wow.
Hopefully, you glean the wisdom, right, and try to pass it on.
Yeah. Well, it's like, okay, I guess I believe them now. So when your kids were, I guess, still, well, they say you never stop parenting. You just parent in a different way. But for new parents, I remember I asked you one time, walking down the hallway, I said, is parenting younger kids harder than parenting, kids who are in their teens to their young adults. So if there was like one piece of advice for people with younger kids like I have, what would that piece of advice be?
I think that if you stay moldable, it's like, biblically speaking, they always say the heart is the most important thing to keep soft, right? If you don't harden your heart and you're always willing to learn and be shaped by your experience and be willing to learn and admit sometimes when you do something wrong, right? Because unfortunately, as your kids get older, you're reminded of all the things that you did right and all the things you did wrong.
You did things wrong as a parent? I haven't done that yet, thankfully, but man.
Yeah, that's right. Every day, man. Every day.
Absolutely.
So
okay.
It's just learning. It's, trying to draw from your experience and be open and willing to learn. And it's a different stage too, especially when they get married, right? You're learning about boundaries. You're trying to figure out how to let them have theirs and you have yours. It's both ways, right? Yeah. And coach, like I said, I think the biggest word is coach. Like, like in a race, a marathon, when someone goes to hand the baton over, you really wanted, that's the part that you do it well. I actually talked about that at my daughter's graduation at Briarcrest. I was the speaker there and talked about handing over the baton and letting them grab it and then, being able to coach them in the next race. And, as you watch them race around the track, right? And it's hard. It's one of the most, scary and rewarding things because you see your training come through in them, right?
Right. Yeah. That the fear of letting go quite a bit and letting one of the things that Marvin Lois always says, you have to let your kids make their own mistakes, and that can be very hard to do sometimes. But I was just going to say, the word baton is the first time I've heard your French influence poke through. It literally ever. I think it's pronounced
Baton.
Well, I don't even know now.
You say baton.
Baton, but you said you know what?
Baton.
Baton. I have no idea how to say the word anymore. So you've just messed me right up.
It's funny, moving out west, I've had to learn how to say every French word English, like the English way, because people don't know what you're saying when you say it the proper way.
Right.
So
and Mark said it's not putain, it's putin.
Yes, Putin.
Putin. Oh, you do say the N at the end.
Yeah, Putin. Yeah, you don't say putain. That's a different thing that we should probably not translate on this podcast.
Oh, wow. I'm definitely looking that up after. Okay. All right. What was it like? Because I have a daughter. She's 8. Both of yours are married now. And I don't want to set this up in the wrong way, but I envision the moment of walking your daughter down the aisle as being this, in every movie, it's this very emotional thing. And so far in my life, the only time where I've thought a moment was going to be huge and epic was when both my kids were born. Every other moment that I thought was going to be huge and epic has not been huge and epic. It's just kind of been like, oh, we're doing this. But walking your daughters down the aisle, did anything take you by surprise, or were you, like a good funeral planner? Were you well prepared in advance so that you didn't get too emotional, or how did you handle it?
You have to ask our good friend AJ how I handled it.
Oh yeah,
a couple of speeches. I when I get emotional, my speeches get longer. But the walking down part, I remember. Each of my kids are unique and they both have their different qualities, right? And so I appreciate different things about them, and their weddings were very similar. There's different moments in their wedding that really highlighted my connection to them. So with my daughter Jordan, my eldest, she's like me. She's very quick-witted, funny, wants to get a laugh in, connect quickly with people. So her and I, we shared the father-daughter dance where we started, dancing to Endless Love.
Oh, okay.
Luther Vandross and I think not Mariah Carey, Luther Vandross, and
that's an old.
Was it Mariah Carey? Yeah. And then we had the sound of the record slowing down, and then It Takes Two to Make a Thing Go Right came on, and we started busting old school.
Nice.
The Running Man, and I did the backspin and a couple other things. And that was just, that really was that was just a fun moment for her and I to kind of share our personality, what we'd like to do, entertain, and kind of steal the stage kind of scenario. Yeah. Whereas my other daughter, the part I think that I liked the most was when her and I were walking down the little path to go to the ceremony together. It was just her and I, and everyone else was waiting for us. And it was just, we were in Kananaskis. She got married at the hotel in Kananaskis. Beautiful Rockies in the background. And it's like everything slowed down. That it was like a 1 minute walk, but it felt like, the culmination of my life and my investment in her. So each of my daughters, unique experiences, and you might not appreciate it in the moment, but it's burnt in your mind for the rest of time, right? And
absolutely.
And maybe you're someone who is a processor, so you don't, maybe everything you expect to feel in the moment comes out later on when you're processing it. When you're sitting quietly by yourself. And the last 5 years has been for me a whirlwind, right? 2 weddings, 2 grandchildren. Like I can hardly keep up, right? So it's just I'm taking it in those quiet moments in between driving from one client's house to the next.
Kidding. Man, you have got to be one of the youngest looking grandpas ever. Like you look younger than me. Am I allowed to ask how old you are?
Yeah, for sure, man. I'm 43 now.
43. You and Mark are the same age. Okay, so what's that? 76?
He says 70. I'm a 76. I
76,
think. I remember I'm at Christmas. I was born on Christmas Day in 1976.
Really?
Yeah.
Christmas Day. So, okay. All right. Is that terrible or is that good when your birthday's on Christmas?
Yeah. People always ask me, you know what, honestly, I always had the day off.
Yeah.
It was always, I always shared it with someone to me who was like my biggest influencer in my life.
Yeah.
My mom, I always tell people my mom had 2 turkeys that year, and that's probably pretty true.
That's funny. Okay. All right. Lloydminster, what do you love about living in Lloydminster? We'll start there.
You know what? It's such a unique town. It's very different. Being a border town. But I love the fact, I drive half an hour, 45 minutes north, and I'm in a very kind of green area, mountains, scenery, totally different. You go 1 hour south and it's completely flat.
Yep.
Farmland. I drive 2.5 hours west. I'm in Edmonton, one of the largest, obviously not the biggest, but a big urban center in Canada. Saskatoon, which is kind of the small version of Edmonton, right? So it's pretty unique that way. And most importantly, our family is within driving distance, which is pretty cool that way. But yeah, Lloydminster is a pretty unique town. There's lots of musical talent here, which is always a good thing for me.
Yeah.
It's I guess you get just enough of the shops and everything. I'm not out in the boondocks.
Yeah. How big how many people, what's the population?
Pre-oil crash, I think we were sitting at about 32,000, 35,000 in Lloyd. Post-oil and COVID-19, we're probably sitting about 27,000. Okay. So the economy definitely took a hit in the last, pretty much right when I moved out here. It was a huge hit on families. Really hard to see because you see all the houses for sale and everything. It's been tough.
Man, okay. So other than thinking about, the end of life all day long, what else do you think about when you're not thinking about that? What are you passionate about?
Worship is a big thing. I mean, I love connecting. I mean, that was the reason why I moved out to Saskatchewan, right? In 2003 was to really hone in on what my skills were in music and figure out, how do I use the gifts that I have in the right way, the right way that I'm wired to be. So that, definitely is passion of mine. Obviously family, spending time with family. My wife and I, we love to, make our home, invest in our home. So she's an interior decorator and I'm a hack who's learned a lot about home renovations in the last few years. But we work together her and I are always been a team. We work together to get the job done. And I like to scuba dive. I have a scuba diving license.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
I haven't been able to do that in the tropics for since January. Last time I scuba dove was in Mexico.
Oh wow.
But I have to go to
what's the water like in Mexico there? Like, is it is it crystal clear, or is it kind of hard to see the water life, the ocean life?
You sound like Jacques Cousteau there. Yeah, the water life is quite fascinating.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely, I've also dove in Australia at the Barrier Reef. That's like clear, really clear.
Yeah.
Mexico, it depends on the tide. It depends on how rough the seas are. But last time when I dove in January, a turtle kind of swam right by my head and got to follow him around. And it was the first time I had my GoPro with me, so I was able to record some cool video.
Have you ever seen sharks? Any sharks?
Just a reef shark in Australia at the Barrier Reef, and those guys. No? Sorry, is
that a dangerous one?
The reef shark? No, they're not big enough. They're maybe a couple of feet long.
Oh, okay.
But the dive master, does this thing where he closes his fist and he smacks his fist with his hand, almost like the top of his fist, and that basically it emanates the sound of crunching bone, which brings sharks towards you. So he started doing that underwater, and that's when the reef shark came around. I wasn't quite sure if that was a smart thing or not.
Yeah, that seems like the last thing I would want myself or anyone around me to do when I try and stay out of the ocean as much. It's not snowflake, exactly. Wow. Yeah, I try to. I'm more of a lake guy, because I know what's in the lake, and there could be literally anything in the ocean anywhere. So.
Well, you got Ogopogo though, so you got to watch out for.
My daughter, she was in the car with me today getting some irrigation pipes from Kelowna, and she was telling me how she was afraid of fish in the lake. I'm like, oh, fish, don't need to be afraid of fish. She's like, yeah, but I saw pictures of the Ogopogo, and it's a really big fish. And I said, wow, the Ogopogo is kind of like, I hope there's no young kids listening to this. Santa Claus.
I was going to say, it's kind of going to go there. Yeah.
It's kind of fun to believe in, but it's not, it's not real. She's like, no, but I saw pictures. I'm like, well, so I couldn't quite convince her that it's not a thing yet. But
are you telling me Santa Claus isn't real?
No. Just certain. No. Okay, moving on. I don't want to. No. Yeah, he's real. He's very real, Ken.
Okay.
All right, music. You love music. Why? Why do you love music so much? What is it about it that you love?
I love what it does to your soul and what it can do to other people's souls around you. Right? It can be the difference between lifting spirits, or I've seen, as a funeral pre-planner, I've been asked to play music at people's funerals before, right? I've also been asked to play it at people's weddings. Yep. So you see how music, it transcends language, it transcends emotion, it connects with people, it helps them through, it activates grief, it brings out joy. So that, music for me is sometimes what words can't do. And it's the connecting piece that we can all connect with, right? No one dislikes music, right? It's like, denying that language needs to exist, right? You need music to have a different form of communication that connects with people. So that, that's for me what music has always been, right?
It moves people, it connects, it's a language, everyone gets it.
Yeah. For sure. That's my, and it allows me to express a different part of my brain, right? A different part of my thinking process. When you're living in, working, I do what I do for work, and it provides, and I love it. Music is something that I do because I want to, right? And invest in it, which is why I decided early on, I didn't necessarily want to be a music pastor in a church. I just wanted to be able to come in and play music for a church, in a church, or outside of a church, or anywhere, and just do it not because I was employed to do it, but because I wanted to do it.
I wanted to. Yeah. Do you have an all-time favorite song to play on the piano?
Well, the one that my go-to piece was always it was the thing that kind of made my wife Jen kind of fall head over heels, was Great Balls of Fire.
What?
So when she saw me play Great Balls of Fire, with my feet up on the piano and doing like the glissandos. That was
that is such a romantic song, ladies. Many people have fallen in love listening to Great Balls of Fire. Absolutely.
Yeah, what was it from Top Gun? Take Me Home or Lose Me Forever. That's,
Oh, wow.
thanks to Great Balls of Fire. That's my go-to, just fun piece. Classical music. I love Chopin. U2, my favorite band. Where the Streets Have No Name, With or Without You.
Ooh, Streets Have No Name on the piano. I've never heard that. That would be...
Still haven't found what I'm looking for. That one I love, which is a gospel song, right? I love it.
Oh, really?
U2, they are one of the most thought-provoking, to me, worship band leaders in the world because of, how they wrestle with the thought of, church and religion and God and, With or Without, still haven't found what I'm looking for. I love that song because it shows the constant struggle that it is to, your faith. It's not like we're never fully there and we're still trying to figure it all out. Like the line where he says, you took the cross, loosed the chains. What is it? And it took all my shame. But there you go.
I know the line. See, my problem is, and the artists that I work with, I have to apologize to them in advance when we start recording together, because when I'm producing, the lyrics are literally the only thing that does not require my attention on the entire album.
Oh my gosh.
So their pitch, their performance, every single instrument, the mix, the EQs, the compressors, the strings, everything except the lyrics is my responsibility. Yep. So I never pay attention to lyrics. All I pay attention to is the energy of the song and the melody and the harmonies. Yeah. And I remember I was working with this girl, Sycamore, and she's on the podcast, and she wrote this beautiful song, and we were almost done it. And my wife came down, and I played it for her, and she started bawling. And I'm like, "What is she? Why is she crying?" And so I said, "I'm like, why? I know it's a beautiful song, but why are you crying?" She's like, "Well, the lyrics." I'm like, so then I explained to her what I thought on a very basic level the lyrics meant. She's like, "Haven't you listened to the song?" I'm like, "Yeah, 100 times I've listened to the song."
And that's perfect. That perfectly describes my wife and I, because
oh, really?
You and I are kind of like a doppelganger that way, because I'm horrible with words. I always usually need the lyrics of the words in front of me, because I won't remember them, because I'm always focused on melody, what's going on with the rhythm, the music, the orchestration. That I would say, if I wasn't doing what I'm doing now, if I had a dream to do whatever I would do, it'd be probably doing what you're doing, like producing. Because I'm a collaborator. I love to work with people. I love to kind of bring out the best in people, musically speaking, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Do you write any of your own songs?
I mostly, the stuff that I've written is usually more on the comedic side. So I know you and I have chatted about this. I connected with what Corey Doak was talking about. I know him. I met him before. But when he was talking about the, how with music, there's stuff you can address with comedy and music that you probably, it's harder to address sometimes without those things in combination, right? And so a lot of times my writing has been, when I was working at Briarcrest, I used to write, take popular songs sometimes and then write lyrics that pertain to what it meant to be living in the small town of Caronport or working for Briarcrest. Now with Canada Purple Shield. I've done, live performances with some of my other colleagues before, where I adapted songs to fit what we do, and, to give light, to take a serious subject and but also to make us connect all on the same page. Cause, sometimes it's not easy what we do, and, or living in a small town like Caronport or Briarcrest sometimes is, people always talked about the bubble, and, you have to give that wing sometimes just to, make light of it, to help not take yourself so seriously. Right. So the things that I've written are along those lines.
What are some of the funeral planning songs that you have? Do you write them, or do you cover well-known songs, or what do you do?
Yeah, well, I think there was one training day that I had with my colleagues, and so I took it upon myself to to write a couple of songs that connected well with them. So at the time when we had that training day, Adele's "Hello" was like the the number one hit maker.
Hello.
So I took you can't go wrong with Adele. So I changed all the lyrics to talk about what it meant to be doing what we do on the road, and trying to make phone calls and book appointments with people, and driving out in the middle of nowhere where you don't have any cell tower reception, and trying to get a hold of people, to talk about their death, So I wrote that song, and
Hello, it's me. I've got your info on the sleep card, and I'd really like to go over everything. They say that death in the family is a really stressful thing. Hello from the family side. I want to help you when you die.
The fun part about doing that was they didn't know what it was coming, and I love the element of surprise.
Yeah.
So when you first start on the piano, there's lots of people who think they can write funny things and all that, and so it was just nice to slowly build, and you hear people kind of growing in their laughter, in their laughter, and then by halfway through the song, they're fully on board with you, and that's the part that I loved. By the end of that session that I did, I wrote a couple other songs. I wrote Billy Joel's Piano Man. I turned it into Purple Shield Man.
Nice.
I had them all singing together, and then I ended up with instead of Purple Rain, I changed it to Purple Shield. Purple Shield. So everyone in the auditorium there was singing Purple Shield.
Oh man,
talking about pre-planning. So yeah, I did a bunch of things like that were fun. The best one at Briarcrest was I think the one that had the most laughs was taking a Black Eyed Peas song, I Got a Feeling. I got a feeling. Yeah. I changed that one to I Got a Feeling That You're Gonna Make a Good Wife.
Oh, wow.
At Briarcrest, that's the joke, right?
That is the main pursuit of all men who go to Briarcrest, is to find a good wife. Yeah.
Bridal college, right?
Yeah, bridal quest. Yeah, bridal quest, bridal college. Yeah. Man, okay, all right. What is the best concert you've ever been to?
Oh, God, that's a hard one.
Should be pretty easy
to nail down. U2 for sure.
Yeah.
When they did their oh gosh, what was the tour where they had the stage that was in the shape of
the beast,
kind of wrapped all the way around anyone? That's where he had the glowing microphone that he held onto, and he'd swing around the stage.
Oh, wow.
That was in, I think that was in 2013.
Yeah.
That was that tour. That was incredible. Harry Connick Jr. I saw in Montreal at the Montreal Jazz Festival.
Oh, did he have like a full band with him, or was it just?
Yeah, he had his big band there, and he started off playing the song "Come by Me," which is just on the piano. And then there's this part that kicks in. If you know that song, it kicks in with the whole orchestra on a snare hit.
The trumpets just nail it.
Oh yeah, you would know it as a trumpet player. Yeah, that was like, man, that was like my heart skipped, I think, a few beats. Michael W. Smith, when he did his first worship album, I went to his concert, and that changed my whole vision. That's what kind of why I ended up at Briarcrest eventually, was because of that concert.
Wow.
And orchestra, my dad used to take me to Montreal Symphony Orchestra concerts.
Oh, no way.
I went and saw guys like, oh gosh, I'm trying to think. Charles Dutoit, he was the orchestral master at the time, and phenomenal orchestra. But what can I think of? There two jazz piano players from Montreal who.
Oh, Billy Joel and.
No. Oh gosh, I can't remember that. Anyways, whatever. Yeah, so huge. Holly Cole. That was one of my biggest major first concerts I went to, a jazz concert. Just three people: her, the piano player, and the bass player, who sounded like he was playing a full drum kit. Like that blew my mind. Wow. You know how he made his stand-up bass sound like a drum kit. It was incredible.
Yeah, it's watching great jazz musicians is just. It's like watching a different life form. I saw Wynton Marsalis and a drummer and one other. It was a 3-piece jazz band in Vancouver when I was in film school, and it was. I mean, I've been a massive Wynton Marsalis fan ever since grade 5 when I started playing the trumpet. And his drummer at one point, like, you know, when a good jazz drummer goes off on some solo, he eventually gets to some point where you have no idea if he's completely lost track of the time or you have.
Yeah.
Or he's doing some time signature that is so complex that you have no idea it even existed. But you trust him because, well, he's up on stage with Wynton Marsalis, so he must be doing
something right.
It correctly. But you cannot possibly keep up with the timing or what he's doing. And watching any good jazz player for me has been like that. Like, oh, I didn't know you could play 38 notes on the piano at the same time and make me cry and laugh at the same time. Like it's
incredible.
Ridiculous.
He's the Marsalis family. They're incredible. I mean, they're a big influence on Harry Connick Jr. Right? I think the dad just passed away, I believe.
Yeah.
So there's Winston Marsalis. He's the trumpet player, and then there's also his brother plays. Is it trombone?
I was gonna say trombone. I thought that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Which movie or TV show have you watched the most?
Well, Band of Brothers was pretty significant. I mean, I usually watch that annually around in November. Just both my grandparents fought in World War II, so that has a special connection for me. We really were diehard Game of Thrones fans, so we were. I think I've seen that series 2 or 3 times through.
Oh wow! I just finished that for the first time like a week ago.
It
took me so long to watch it, and then I watched the whole thing in about a month.
The writing on the characters. I mean, for me, a good show, good movie needs characters, and I've yet to see in Band of Brothers or Game of Thrones almost every character that is developed to the point where you care what's going to happen to them. Right? It's not like, you know, the secondary characters that you don't care what's going to happen.
Yeah, the red shirts in Star Trek. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Favorite song to sing at the top of your lungs in the car on a road trip?
Oh, for sure. I've done this song. You know, on a serious note, I've sung this song sometimes when life was throwing curveballs and I was going through a rough time. And, you know, still haven't found what I'm looking for was huge. I'd be like, you know, like, you know, I don't know what movie that is where, you know, you're stopped at the stoplight and you're just bawling.
Yeah.
People around you are wondering what the heck is going on.
That was you. That was you in the movie. That was Ken Pike.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. On a fun note, like people wouldn't know this about me, but when I was in high school, I was a big rap fan of the 90s. So
you look like a rap guy. Nope.
Oh yeah. Mama Said Knock You Out, man. That was like my my Get Her Done song.
Mama Said Knock You Out by who?
LL Cool J.
Oh, right. See, I missed all that. My parents were just like, no, Michael W. Smith and Amy Grant. That's all you're allowed to listen to.
Yeah.
LL Cool J, Mama's Gonna Knock You Out?
That Mama Said Knock You Out. Yeah, that's like the... You know, for a short time I was on a rugby team. That would be like the song that I played, you know, before I went out to play rugby.
Get pumped right up. Yep. Okay, if you could be the keyboard player in a famous band, which band would you want to be the keyboard player in?
Oh, I love like Coldplay has awesome piano licks. Like all of their stuff is fun to play on the piano. Like, you know, I'll play clocks and. You know, pretty much anything from their repertoire is fun to sit down and play. So
they're chords,
I'd probably say Coldplay would be the
that's a very good choice.
The band that I would want to do, you know, pop band.
Yep. But you're not British though. You're French.
Yeah, no, actually, my dad's British.
Oh, really?
I'm second generation British.
Okay, you might have an in then. Okay. So I was gonna ask why you're a Montreal Canadiens fan, but now I know because you grew up there and spent half your life there. So, do you still have a hard time cheering for the Habs now that you don't live there? And
no, if they come to Edmonton, I try. Are you an Oilers fan?
I'm a big Oilers fan. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, you have a. Well, you know, everyone has their character flaws, I guess, but
that's true. No one's perfect. Yeah.
The Habs. When they come to Edmonton, I try to go out and see them.
Yeah.
But I grew up. Actually, a friend of mine, he was like an elder at the church that I went to, and he was the chaplain for the Montreal Canadiens and the Montreal Expos. So he used to take me to games when I was like I don't know, what was I, maybe in my early teens.
Yeah.
And I sat in the players lounge of the, was it the 93 Montreal Canadiens? So it was Chelios, Naslin, Patrick Roy, Ryan Walter, who was an awesome guy.
Yeah.
I got all their signatures in my Habs magazine, which I since can't find anymore.
Oh.
Yeah.
So was that the Forum, the Montreal Forum?
Yeah, that was at the Montreal Forum. Yeah, before they switched to the Bell Center.
Wow. Oh, that. So who was your favorite Habs player growing up?
Well, you know what? I liked because I actually got to meet him. Was Ryan Walter? He is actually out in BC now. I think he runs a hockey team out there, hockey program. But yeah, Ryan Walter, he was part of the last time the Habs won the cup. Yeah, he was on the team. He scored a key goal to get them into the playoffs. Nice. He was like originally a tough player, and then he actually became significant. A person of faith. He spent a lot of time in Montreal, going to different organizations and talking about leadership. And he still does that to this day.
Yeah,
so
I met him a couple times when he was doing like hockey camps at Briarcrest and one in Calgary too. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, full circle. My last month at Briarcrest, I actually got him to come out and speak to the high school. I pulled a connection, and so he came out with his was it 1993 Stanley Cup ring and passed it around to the high school students as he was talking about leadership.
Trusting of him. Good for wow.
I know. I was worried about his ring. Yeah.
Wow. So would he? Okay. Oh, hold on. One more question. If you were putting together your street hockey team. Mm-hmm. Or a pickup game of shinny on an outdoor rink. Mm-hmm. Who would be your goalie, Carey Price or Patrick Roy?
Well, just because I grew up kind of hearing everything about Patrick Roy, for sure it would be Patrick Roy. Yeah. I think Carey Price just seems like overall a nicer guy, but because I grew up with Patrick Roy, he was the man, right?
Yeah, yeah. Would Ryan Walter be the most famous person you've met, or is there anyone more famous?
I think Ryan Walter would be. I had a blues band in Montreal, and the drummer from the band April Wine played a couple of tracks on our. His name was Jerry Mercer.
There you go, April Wine.
And April Wine, yeah. So he, if you've ever seen April Wine, there's this short bald guy who played drums for them, and he actually came and played in our blues band that we had, and did a couple of tracks in studio on a Fostex 4-track reel to reel.
Oh, yeah, that's
somewhere that's highlighted in Montreal. I have no clue where that went, but actually, and the band that we played with, actually, they just got nominated for a Juno this year. That was my old band.
There you go.
Yeah, Durham County Poets. Shout out to them.
Okay, what was your first full-time job?
First full-time job. Well, I was a paper route a paper route boy first time. But then after that, I was a dish boy at Red Lobster.
Nice. Okay. Yep. And how long did that last?
Oh gosh, too long in my book, sir. I think I was there for a year, when I was a young teen, and that was enough for me, coming home on the city bus smelling like fish. Yeah. That was where I realized I didn't want to be a guy washing dishes for Red Lobster for very much longer.
Okay. What's your favorite? Well, favorite meal when you go out, not when you don't eat at home, when you go out.
Favorite meal. Well, locally now, I guess we like to eat typically like Greek. There's a good Greek restaurant here. Oh, yeah. Sometimes we'll have Indian food or that would be. When I was in Montreal, it's hard to compare because when you live in Montreal, you have the best of everything at your fingertips. Mm-hmm. The best, as you say, poutine, which is poutine. And every kind of ethnic food that you want, Greek, Lebanese. Mm-hmm. If I could get any food that I'd want, I would get Montreal Barbie Barn ribs, which is if you ever go to Montreal, hang out with Mark Martel in Montreal, make sure he takes you to Barbie Barn.
Barbie Barn, that's a place.
Barbie Barn ribs. Yeah, it doesn't get better than that.
Wow. And what makes those ribs so memorable?
Oh my gosh. Like you there's anything out here doesn't compare, right?
Yeah.
You usually get your ribs and they're dry and overcooked. Barbie Barn, they're succulent ribs. Like, the sauce is just dripping from it. It's so like they soak those ribs for so long that it's just like so tender. Oh my
great
gosh,
for a first date, hey?
Oh, yeah. All that meat stuck in your teeth, and
just
it's
sauce
beautiful
everywhere. Bring your sweats. Yeah. Okay. The most favorite place in the entire world you've ever been.
The most favorite place that I've ever been. The moment, because Jen and I being raising our kids young, we haven't done a lot of travel until the last 5 years when they moved out. So we've done some pretty cool things since. We stayed at Adair Manor in Ireland, which is a castle that you can stay in there. It was, with a links golf course on it.
What?
Talk about beauty. Oh yeah, it was phenomenal.
Did you golf?
You know what? My option, because we were kind of with a tour group, my options were either you golf or you go see the cliffs of Moher, those cliffs that are on the side of Ireland. Yeah. And, as much as I wanted to golf, I figured that cliffs was the right thing to do when you're in Ireland.
A golf course is a golf course. You got to go see those cliffs.
I'll go back though, for sure, someday.
Yeah. Okay. A castle in Ireland by the cliffs of Moher and a links golf course. That's pretty solid. Okay. What about, what's your favorite season?
I don't like the cold, but Christmas is fun. I just something about the Christmas season that the colors, the sounds, and it's my birthday. And maybe I'll like it less as I get older. But
do you still find magic at Christmas?
I do, yeah. And like I said, my wife's a decorator, so she'll every year our house is kind of like, it's like a Hallmark. Like last year, she decorated it like the Hallmark TV show, so it was like all the bright reds and which is kind of in style right now for interior designer. At least it was last year. Yeah. So that's a really cool season. But I like summer. Like just being able to sit on my deck. That we just poured into during COVID-19 year. We've been just working on our backyard the whole time. That's really nice just to enjoy the summer. Okay, but back to Christmas though. Do you have a favorite Christmas movie? Well, every year is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. That was going to be my guess. I can't wait. My kids hear us talking about it all. We named our camper trailer Margot after. They're like, they don't understand why, but they know it's from our favorite Christmas movie, and they're like, "Can we watch it?" We're like, "No, you can't watch it yet." But maybe next year when you're 11 and 9 or so. When did your kids watch it? Oh my gosh. Yeah, we watch it together. That's kind of a tradition. Even now that they're all married, we try to watch it when they're all home with us, right? That's like the fun one. But, we always watch all the other traditionals. We're a sucker for kind of going through the list of White Christmas and, watching... what's it? Every time a bell rings, the angel gets its wing. Miracle. It's a Wonderful Life. Yeah, Wonderful Life. Yeah. You know what? Jimmy Stewart. Jimmy Stewart. Wait a second, Mr. Potter. Yeah. No, he's like that guy. It's a magical film, and it's it's a classic and everything. But if you really pay attention to his acting, the guy's phenomenal in that movie. Oh, he's incredible. Yeah, for sure. How dark he gets, and how confused he gets. And how out of sorts, like it's completely believable that this guy is going, he's completely at the end of his rope, and it's actually, I think it's one of the finest acting performances I've ever seen. I would agree. The other one too is the Scrooge, but the black and white Scrooge. Well, which one? There's a bunch of black and whites. Is it 1951? With the Jim Carrey Scrooge that Jim Carrey based his Scrooge off of? No, not Jim Carrey. The guy with the big eyes. Yes. Yeah. That's the Scrooge that Jim Carrey based his off of. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a classic. Okay, if you had to be stuck in a previous decade forever, which one would you choose to be stuck in? I think Jerry Lee Lewis, I think that was in the 50s, so it would probably be in the 50s. Oh, okay. I'd love to be like a rockabilly, kind of, light my piano on fire. Yep. maybe not make all the life choices he did, but rock a piano. Like, I mean, if you watch a guy talk about entertainment, right? Like he could just he just blew everyone's socks off whenever he went and played, right? He just put everything into it. I'd love to be in the 50s.
Do you like like the cars and the style and everything as well? Like
the rolled up pants, with the the white socks showing, the jean jacket, it's Back to the Future, right? The first Back to the Future.
Yeah, basically, diners and I think I'm always torn between the 30s and 50s, but the 50s would be absolutely beauty. Okay, what is the last piece of art that left an impression on you? And that's, if you listen to the other podcasts, that's any kind of art, music, art, books, paintings, a nice car, something.
Oh gosh, I'm trying to think of something that really. Music.
Other than up here in Canada.
Other than that was probably the most. All joking aside, your ability to embrace the Canadian culture and put it in a comedic song for me was like right up my alley. I've told you this before, but I think you're kind of.
Oh, you mean Clark's ability?
Sorry, yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Did I say? Well, you guys are.
They get us
a lot of similarities.
Being twin brothers, people get us mixed up all the time. So,
yeah. Well, what I appreciate about you though is that you always follow through with your appointments. Clark is he's never on. He's never on time.
He's a classic artist where he's just very unorganized and late for everything. No, but okay, so
art piece. I don't know. Just trying to think of something that like we watch a lot of every year we watch the Oscars. We try to get through most of the nominated films. So I think the one that had the most impact on me, I would say the film was Jojo Rabbit last year. That was that one, but also the epic war film there.
1917.
1917. That was like
incredible.
Just the camera work on that, and you'd appreciate the sound and the audio.
That was just a marathon to watch. Hey, like you're tense the whole time. Like there's
there's no breathing space, right? You're on the edge.
I'm tense now thinking about it.
Yeah, and that whole scene, the visual and the buildup of intensity when he's running through that town, and they have the flare up in the sky. If you watch the extras on that, they talk about how they modeled that in miniature form with like a little almost like a model version of it, and so they could see what the lighting would do exactly, so that when the flare went up in the reel, when they filmed it for real, they already knew what the lighting was going to do and how the shadowing was. You got to check it out. It's awesome.
that blew my mind, that movie. Okay, favorite place to visit in Canada?
We love going to the Rockies. Like anytime we're in the mountains, we loved your neck of the woods last year, like Soyuz. We stayed down there through Kelowna, Revelstoke. That's definitely our favorite place to visit.
Okay. If you could have any famous Canadian over for dinner, who would it be?
I think as an artist, like as a musician, it would be cool to have someone like Bryan Adams over. Maybe, I think probably him. But as an arranger, just someone with music, I'd love to have David Foster over. Oh yeah. Because he's been so integral in so many careers. Obviously he's a hit maker, right? He's worked with all the top artists in Canada. He made Celine Dion kind of the breakout artist she was back in the days.
Michael Bublé.
Bublé, all these guys. David Foster has his hand in it. And so that'd be pretty cool just to hear about his experiences and, working with artists and trying to bring out the best of them.
Yeah. Oh man, Michael Bublé almost crashed his scooter into me in Vancouver. In film school, I was walking on the sidewalk against the flow of traffic, and this scooter came through, turned the corner, and this scooter stopped beside me, and it wasn't Michael Bublé, it was this other guy in a suit, and then he looked back at this other scooter that was supposed to follow him, and he waved him to come around the corner. So this guy comes around the corner and totally Lloyd Christmas style when he gets too slow, like the wheel jerks like that. And it's right beside me and he stops right beside me and he's embarrassed and he looks up at me and I look down at him and it's Michael Bublé and he's like, yeah, I have no idea how to drive this thing. And then they kept going. But
you should have given me your business card.
Yeah,
hey,
exactly.
My studio.
Yeah. Hey, I'm in film school. I'm a student. You should work with me.
That's right.
Okay. If you could go anywhere in the world for 24 hours, where would you go? Who would you take with you? And what would you do?
Oh, man. I'd take my wife. We'd probably go to, the name's going to elude, but the tropics, like, you know, where the private island where you have, basically you're staying in a hut above water with like, what's the, St. Lucia. That's where I would go. St. Lucia.
Yep.
That would be the, scuba diving would be incredible there.
Yep.
I'd love to be, on my own somewhere like that, with nothing but nature in front of me. That would be incredible.
Your wife scuba diving in a hut on top of the water.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Just the water. You could just go out of the hut and dive into clear water.
That'd be incredible. Okay. What would you do if you had no responsibilities and unlimited resources for an entire year?
I'd try to scuba dive all continents.
Yeah.
Go around the world and see all the what did you call them? Sea animals, sea fish.
The water life.
Water life. Water life in all the different continents. Would
you do Antarctica as well? Like really cold scuba diving?
Yeah. I would give it a shot. Yep. I'm not. I dove in 60-degree weather with a half-inch neoprene scuba outfit there, and I almost had hypothermia. Wow. So I didn't like that. But if I had the proper equipment, I'd probably give it a shot.
Yeah. Okay. If you could be the best at one thing in the world and have everyone in the world know that you're the best at that one thing, what would you be the best at?
Probably. I guess as a kid, I always dreamed that I would be the best piano player in the world. That dream has since passed because you start as a musician, you quickly realize how everyone else is better than you at something, right? But that'd be fun to be a piano singer, kind of entertainer like that. That
the world's greatest piano
was
player
unparalleled
and singer, Kenneth Pike.
That's right.
Okay,
there you go.
All right,
stage name.
Last question: if you had one day left to live, how would you spend it?
No, this will be a typical answer, I'm sure, but I would be with family. I wouldn't. I wouldn't want to be on my own somewhere. It would be with family because that's
What would you want to do with your family?
I think I'd probably want to reminisce, just kind of share moments together and eat a good meal. Listen to music, maybe sing together. We're most of my family is all musicians, so it's fun. That's why having a piano in my living room is so essential because music is a part of how we connect. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Okay. Signing off. Where can we send people to get in touch with you if they would like to chat about anything, but specifically, funeral planning? Yeah,
for sure. Our best or most immediate resource people can go check out is our website. So restassuredplanning.com. So restassuredplanning.com. On there's information about getting your will done, power of attorney, health directive, and prearranging funeral expenses. So it's good no matter what people's ages are. If you haven't gone through the process of getting your will done, that's the starting point. And we offer that at a fraction of the cost of going to a lawyer. So you can do it on your own right online. So restassuredplanning.com, or if you want to talk to someone about pre-planning, you can call our 1-800 number, which is 1-800-661-8959. And if anyone wants to email me directly, they can just email me at kpike, KPIKE at shaw.ca. That's my HTTP email. That's what the kids are saying.
Okay. Well, man, I feel like I know you a lot better now.
It's been a pleasure. It's been fun, both sides.
Yeah. Okay, good. And again, I'm sorry Clark was not here, but
I want to collaborate with a guy. I heard does he play music?
He's a bit of a ghost writer, singer.
Okay.
I write and produce most of them, and he just kind of takes them as his own and sings on them. So
okay, yeah.
But,
You're the genius behind the master, eh?
Yeah, exactly. I'm the puppet master. So, but I think Clark's skills and your skills would line up quite nicely with the comedic songs and everything. So we should probably make that happen at some point.
Yeah, I'll have your people, my people, right?
Absolutely, absolutely,
or his people, I should say.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Ken. Thanks so much, man. Really appreciate you chatting with us and talking about such a fascinating job and your life and all that stuff. So please say hi to Jen for me. And
for sure.
I will say hi to AJ Crocker for you the next time I see him.
Yeah, my old work wife. I need to connect with him.
Exactly. Okay. All right. Godspeed. All the best, and we'll chat with you next time.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
Okay. Bye, Ken.
All right. Thanks, buddy.